First off, let's start with the basics. What is equity? In a nutshell, equity is ownership. When you have equity in a company, it means you own a piece of that company. This could be a tiny sliver or a huge chunk, depending on how much equity you have. Now, let's talk about startups. A startup is a new business that's just getting off the ground. It's like a baby business that's still figuring things out. So, what does equity have to do with startups? Well, in a startup, equity is often used as a way to attract investors. When you're just starting out, you might not have a lot of money to pay people with. But what you do have is the potential for your business to grow and become successful. And that's where equity comes in. When you offer equity to potential investors, you're essentially saying, "Hey, I believe in my startup and its potential to grow. I want you to believe in it too, and I'm willing to share the rewards with you." It's like being a team player, where everyone has a role to play and everyone gets to share in the success. But offering equity isn't just about making money. It's also about building a team. When you offer equity to potential investors and employees, you're inviting them to become a part of something bigger than themselves. You're giving them a stake in the success of your startup. You're saying, "Hey, we're all in this together. Let's make something awesome happen." And the cool part? You don't need a lot of money to get started. You just need a good idea and the willingness to work hard. It's like having a lemonade stand, but instead of just you and your friends, it's you and a bunch of other people who believe in your idea. So, in a nutshell, equity in startups is like saying, "Hey, let's all be in this together." It's like being part of a big family, where everyone has a role to play and everyone gets to share in the rewards. It's like being part of something bigger than yourself, and it's a really cool way to start a business. One of the most important types of investors for startups is venture capitalists, or VCs for short.
Some breaking news regarding Elon Musk or his company, the Boring Company is building. Well, they have filed with the SEC paperwork to raise $112.5 million through an equity offering. We don't have a whole lot of details here in terms of how many people will actually be a part of this equity offering. But again, they plan to raise $112.5 million according to...
When a startup wants to attract venture capital, they typically do what's called a fundraising round. This is where they try to raise a certain amount of money from investors, including VCs. Venture capitalists are like the big dogs of the investing world. They're the ones with the big bucks, and they're the ones who can really help a startup get off the ground.
I've been in the venture business a long time. I was the first investor in Tesla, first investor in Skype, first investor in Baidu, first investor in Hotmail. I always invest early. I invest when I see the vision, I see the opportunity, and I see the person who I think can make it there.
We like to think that investing is a rational equation, a careful balance sheet of risk and reward. But in fact, investors, particularly ones who come in early, are often guided by their gut. Instead of relying on facts, early investing can be more like a wing and a prayer. The word credit comes from the Latin word credo, which means I believe.
But here's the thing, venture capitalists don't just throw their money around willy-nilly. They're looking for startups that have the potential to become big, successful companies. And that's where equity comes in. When a venture capitalist invests in a startup, they're essentially buying a piece of the company. They're saying, "Hey, I believe in your startup and its potential to grow. I want to be a part of that growth, and I'm willing to share in the rewards." But here's the cool part, venture capitalists don't just invest their money and walk away. They're also there to provide guidance and support. They're like mentors, helping the startup navigate the challenges of building a successful business. And the best part? When the startup succeeds, everyone wins. The founders, the employees, the investors, everyone gets to share in the rewards. It's like a big, happy family, where everyone has a role to play and everyone gets to share in the success. So, in a nutshell, venture capitalists are super important for startups. They're the ones who can provide the funding and support needed to turn a small idea into a big success. And by offering equity, startups can attract venture capitalists and get the ball rolling on their journey to success. In exchange for their investment, the VCs get a certain percentage of the company's equity. This is usually determined by the valuation of the company.
The startup behind ChatGPT is reportedly looking to raise new funds at an $80 to $90 billion valuation. That's roughly triple its level from just a few months ago.
The valuation is basically how much the company is worth, and it's usually determined by factors like the potential for growth, the size of the market, and the strength of the team. So let's say a startup wants to raise $1 million in a fundraising round. They might offer VCs 20% of the company's equity in exchange for that $1 million. This means that the VCs would get 20% of the company's profits if it succeeds. But here's the catch. The VCs don't just get that 20% for free. They also get what's called a liquidation preference. This means that if the company is sold or goes public, the VCs get their investment back before anyone else gets a dime. This can be a big deal if the company is sold for less than its valuation, because it means that the VCs could still get their money back even if the company isn't worth what it was when they invested. So in summary, when a startup raises money from venture capitalists, they typically give up a certain percentage of their equity in exchange for that investment. This can be a good thing if the company succeeds, because everyone gets to share in the success. But it can also be a risky thing, because the VCs get their money back before anyone else if the company fails.
Giant's biggest investors demanded that Kalanick step down immediately.
Startup success stories often grab headlines, but behind every unicorn is a graveyard of ideas that didn't quite make it. In the fast-paced world of startups, failure is an ever-present risk, and equity deals that go sour can be particularly painful for investors. Let's take a look at some notable examples of equity fails in startup history and the lessons they can teach us. WeWork. Once hailed as the future of office spaces, WeWork's colossal crash is a cautionary tale of overvalued hype. The company's visionary, Adam Neumann, raised billions of dollars.
It's a very difficult thing to start a new business, and if we could create an environment where entrepreneurs and small businesses could come in, have a space, share services, and maybe help each other to be more successful, that would be a great product. That was in May of 2008. The world was crashing. We opened right with the downturn, and the business never stopped since.
Fueled by a mission to change the way people work and live. However, behind the flashy co-working spaces and bold ambitions was a business model riddled with problems. WeWork's IPO, expected to value the company at $47 billion, was pulled due to concerns over its valuation and Neumann's erratic behavior. The company's valuation plummeted to $8 billion, and Neumann was forced to step down. WeWork's investors, including SoftBank, lost billions, highlighting the dangers of overhyped valuations and poor corporate governance. Juicero. On the surface, Juicero seemed like a surefire hit. It promised to revolutionize juicing with a high-tech juicer that squeezed juice from pre-packaged pods. The company raised over $120 million from investors like Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, and Campbell's Soup Company. However, the product's high price tag and the need for expensive pods made it impractical for most consumers. The company shut down after just 2 years, leaving investors empty-handed. Juicero's failure is a reminder that a flashy product and a big name are no guarantee of success.
The easiest, freshest, most delicious way to get juice.
Kiwi.
Go! Please!
Quick bites, big stories. Quibi.
Kiwi was launched with much fanfare, promising to disrupt the streaming industry with short-form content designed for mobile viewing. The company raised $1.75 billion from investors like Disney, NBC Universal, and Alibaba. However, Kiwi struggled to gain traction with consumers, who were reluctant to pay for yet another streaming service. The company shut down after just 6 months, leaving investors with nothing to show for their investment.
The short-form streaming service Quibi, the startup is shutting down after just 6 months in operation.
Kiwi's failure highlights the importance of understanding consumer behavior and market dynamics before launching a product. The stories of WeWork, Juicero, and Kiwi serve as sobering reminders of the unpredictable nature of startup ventures and the risks inherent in investing. Even the most promising ideas can fail, and the allure of a revolutionary concept and charismatic founder can sometimes overshadow the need for thorough due diligence. As the saying goes, fortune favors the bold.
Impressive. And what would mine be? A unicorn.
She said to me, if you don't immediately stop chasing the wrong thing, actually find your passion, find what it is that makes the difference for you, find and then take that, mix it with what you love moment, which in my case is bringing people together, and I do happen to love buildings, I don't know why. If you don't find a way to bring these two things together and really do something meaningful to the world, not only will nothing you do never really work, even if something did work, you'll never feel fulfilled. I said, my suggestion for you is drop everything you're doing, go find something real, stop worrying about the bottom line because it's not about that. Redefine success and fulfillment as something greater than yourself, and the rest will follow.